Hey, it's Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD. In my over 30 years of medical practice, I've made it my goal to help you create a great life by achieving a strong mind, a healthy body, and an unshakable spirit. What I want to talk to you today about is this neuroscientist who states that you can never feel tired during the day by just implementing this one technique. Let's have a listen.
There are times during the day when we feel very tired. Following a meal, we are sleepy, our eyes close, and we have a lot of work to do. Well, a simple little thing can trick your brain into being more alert, and it has nothing to do with coffee. Here are Andrew Huberman's words about it.
What I'm about to describe next is going to seem so silly on the face of it, but has deep mechanism to support it. Put simply, when you get tired, your eyelids close. And when you're alert, your eyelids are open. That is because you have neurons in your brain that, depending on your level of alertness, will make it easy or hard to keep your eyes open. Now, that's a complete duh, except that we don't often think about the relationship between alertness and where we are looking and our eyelids. Now, I learned this from a colleague of mine in psychiatry who happens to work on hypnosis. I'm not going to hypnotize you right now. That's actually for a future episode. But what happens when we get tired? Our eyelids close and our chin moves down.
Right?
We tend to nod out this way. If you have ever been in a classroom, certainly not one of mine, but if you've been in a classroom and the lecture is kind of drawing on, or it's the afternoon, what you'll notice is that a number of students, their heads are their eyelids are closing and their chin is dropping, and then you'll see a bunch of heads bouncing back up, right? I was definitely one of those people in class. If it was post-lunch in the afternoon, it's warm, the hum of the air conditioner or whatever it is, and I just out, okay? When we're wide awake, the opposite happens. Our eyelids are open all the way, and our chin happens to be up. And no, this is not me telling you to have good posture. However, what I learned from my colleague at Stanford is that these circuits actually act in loops. When we look up, maybe it's because these melanopsin cells are in the bottom of our retina, they are, and maybe it's because they're there in order to view sunlight, which is overhead, which it is, but that system of alertness is linked to the position of our eyes. So when we look up and our eyelids are up, it actually has a purpose. It actually creates a wakefulness signal for the brain. And so while this might seem like the silliest and simple tool that I might ever describe on this podcast, if you are feeling tired, it actually can be beneficial to the wakefulness systems of the brain, including the locus ceruleus and these areas that release norepinephrine, to actually look up, toward the ceiling. You don't want your chin all the way back, but to look up and to raise your eyes toward the ceiling and to look up and try and hold that for 10 to 15 seconds. So this isn't looking up and closing your eyes like on a nice sunny day. That's relaxing. This is looking up and actually looking up at the ceiling. It actually triggers some of the areas of the brain that are involved in wakefulness. So if you're somebody who's falling asleep at your work, this can be very beneficial. Likewise, many people are looking at their phone all day and their chin is down, and then they're sitting at a computer that's positioned below them and they're having trouble staying awake or focusing. It can be I tell Costello this all the time because he's always falling asleep while he's trying to do his work. Positioning your computer screen up at eye level, or sometimes having it actually above eye level, can actually create wakefulness and alertness for the work that you're going to do. This is simply because of this connection between the brainstem circuits and the other neural circuits that control wakefulness and eyelids opening and looking up. Okay, so it's remarkably simple, almost laughably simple, but it's grounded in some of the most hardwired, meaning present from birth, aspects of our neural circuitry. And
we're going to talk about this in a minute.
Norepinephrine released from locus ceruleus isn't just a mouthful. It's a really interesting and powerful mechanism for how the rest of the brain wakes up. Locus ceruleus hoses the rest of your brain with norepinephrine in order to wake up those circuits for work and attention. And so eyes up, is actually a route into increased alertness. Eyes down is a
Don't try
route
that while you're
into
driving.
sleepiness, into reduced alertness. And I have only one friend that texts up here, like on the street, holds his phone up here. It looks ridiculous. And yet, you know, if we were trying to create more sense of alertness, if that's your goal, positioning computer screens up high, chin up, looking up if you need to kind of create an alertness signal, not always being chin down and texting or working into typewriters or reading below us, is actually going to send a recurring wakefulness signal. When things are up, we tend to be alert. When everything's focused down, including our eyes, it tends to have a more suppressive or sedative type signaling to the deeper centers of the brain.
Okay, so these are great points. And, you know, through my work over the years, I have distinguished between our brain and our mind. The automatic brain, right? That's what he talked about, our hardwired brain. This is present from birth. This is what the brain accumulates data throughout our lives, throughout our early lives, to set us up for adulthood. But between birth and adolescence, that hardwiring occurs, and it occurs so we can know what's dangerous and threatening to us. And unfortunately, it makes all sorts of circuitry that doesn't make sense. I've talked about that in previous episodes, previous videos, and my writing. And it sets us up for sabotage as we're adults. However, there are techniques that you can use to trick the brain. So the brain operates on neurochemicals, electrochemical stimulation. And the electrochemical stimulation, the chemicals are what he was talking about, norepinephrine. Okay, norepinephrine is adrenaline, and adrenaline is a stimulant to help you fight and flee. And also the idea that our body reacts in certain ways, or we assume postures that create this endless loop, right? So for instance, most people who are down and depressed are not going to be upright and smiling and looking up, right? You know that people who are depressed and down are chin is down, looking down. And I used to always observe when a patient would come into my office and they're posturing, if they were expressing to me that they had certain melancholic feelings or depression, I would always start with the way they're posturing, because that is sending a reinforcement. The brain, it's becoming an endless loop. And when I say there's a mind, we have a higher consciousness. And that's a topic for another discussion. You can read about it in a lot of my writings, or look at other videos. But that higher consciousness is always there, and you have to unleash it. You have to let it out, and it's buried a lot of times with that functioning of this pre-programmed brain, right? And that pre-programmed brain, sometimes you could trick it. And by what this easy technique is, just chin up, looking up for 15 seconds. Right? And that could be all you need to wake you up and to get you feeling slightly better. It unleashes some hormones that are more happy, right? And more alert. So try that. I think it's a very simple, everyone can implement this. It doesn't hurt to try it. And let me know what you think. And while you're at it, like and subscribe to my channel. So until next time, I'm Dr. Charles, a.k.a. CoachMD, urging you to stay strong in mind, in body, and look at my videos, Fitness Over 60 for strong body, right? Strong body is healthy mind and healthy spirit, right? But we're talking about a strong mind, a healthy body, and the most important thing right here, unshakable spirit. That will give you the power, the personal power to accomplish anything. Bye for now.
Dr. Charles, Coach MD, thanks for stopping by. Make sure to like and comment below. I'd love to hear from you. If you think you have a friend who might benefit from this video, share it with them. For access to exclusive content, support my Patreon. There you'll get private access to videos, meditations, health tips, even relationship and financial tips. You'll have a say in what I produce and be able to participate in a monthly call with me. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you soon.